Our first stop is lunch at Cootie Brown's, and then from there we're heading to the little town of Elizabethton in Tennessee, and we're going to Sycamore Shoals State Historic Park. Sycamore Shoals State Historic Park protects the land that was the location of several important historical events that occurred in the late 18th century. As we walk through the visitor center, let me tell you a little bit about Sycamore Shoals. The park consists of 70 acres, situated along the Sycamore Shoals of the Watauga River, a National Historic Landmark where a series of events critical to the establishment of the states of Tennessee and Kentucky and the settlement of the Trans-Appalachian frontier in general took place. Along with the historic shoals, the park includes a visitor center and museum and the reconstructed Fort Watauga. For over 1,000 years before the arrival of European explorers, Sycamore Shoals and adjacent lands had been inhabited by Native Americans, and the first permanent European settlers arrived in 1770 and established the Watauga Association, one of the first written constitutional governments west of the Appalachian Mountains, in 1772. Richard Henderson and Daniel Boone negotiated the Treaty of Sycamore Shoals in 1775, which saw the sale of millions of acres of Cherokee lands in Kentucky and Tennessee and led to the building of the Wilderness Road. During the American Revolution, Sycamore Shoals was both the site of Fort Watauga, where part of a Cherokee invasion was thwarted in 1776, and the mustering ground for the Over Mountain Men in 1780. During the Cherokee attack on Fort Watauga, several warriors, some accounts state as many as 25, managed to get close enough to the fort to attempt to set it on fire, and the defendants could not take proper aim with their rifles, and matters were looking desperate when Anne Robertson, sister of Captain James Robertson, was struck with an inspiration. It was wash day at the fort, and after organizing the women into a bucket brigade, Anne mounted the palisade and poured the scalding water onto the attackers below. In the midst of the bullets and arrows, Anne was severely wounded, but stayed at her post until the aggressors retreated to safety. 3 years later, Anne Robertson joined her brother James in the founding of Fort Nashboro, where she was the only woman in the Cumberland settlement to receive a land grant in her own name. The flatlands around Sycamore Shoals have been sporadically inhabited by Native Americans for thousands of years and were probably cultivated during the Mississippi period, 1000 to 1600 CE, when the first European explorers arrived in the area in the 18th century. The Cherokee were using the flats as a gathering place for hunting expeditions, and in the 1760s, long hunters and traders established stations and hunting camps in the Watauga Valley, in the vicinity of Sycamore Shoals. These earlier explorers called the flats the Watauga Old Fields due to the resemblance to once cultivated lands that had been left fallow. And in 1770, James Robertson, a later founder of Nashville, made an excursion into the Watauga Valley, possibly to locate settlement sites for families fleeing the turmoil of the regulator movement. In his native North Carolina, a trader pointed Robertson to the old fields, which Robertson later described as the Promised Land, and planted a corn crop and built a cabin and corn crib. Robertson then departed for North Carolina, but returned to the old fields a few months later with several families to establish what became known as the Watauga settlement. We really enjoyed Sycamore Shoals and we learned quite a bit. Now we're heading to Brite Zoo, but first we're going to drive through the town of Jonesboro, and it's a city in Tennessee. And this is where history comes to life in this 18th century town. Its well-preserved Main Street will take you on a beautiful journey through the past. Jonesboro is proud of its diverse history and the people who've made Tennessee's oldest town so special. Today, they continue to celebrate culture, heritage, and history through education, events, and preserved architecture. Jonesboro's past has crafted the beautiful, diverse, and vibrant patchwork of who they are today. You'll love going through this little town and uncovering the rich history of Tennessee's oldest town. And walking through the town is fantastic, and you can enjoy so many wonderful little shops and boutiques. Our next stop is Brite's Zoo in Limestone, Tennessee. Brite Zoo is a private, family-owned facility nestled in the hills of East Tennessee. Animals living here include some rare and endangered species such as addax, bongo, and scimitar, horned oryx, and back-trained camels. The center also contains more common but exotic creatures like red kangaroos, spider monkeys, pandas, and zebras. At first, when we entered the zoo, we thought it was really small, but it was really cute. And as we started wandering through, this place was actually quite large. We were pleasantly surprised, and it took us about 3 hours to go through the zoo, taking our time. We really had a fun time watching this little zookeeper gal bathing this huge tortoise, and he just absolutely loved getting his back scrubbed with the big brush. But who wouldn't? And if you want to feed the goats, when you enter the zoo, they have cups of food that you can purchase to feed the goats. The Brite family has owned their land in Limestone for 35 years. When it was initially purchased, David Brite said it was just grass. However, over time it blossomed into something beautiful. David Brite is currently the zoo director, but he said his parents were the drivers behind its inception. As we were walking through the zoo, I couldn't help but wonder, how do they take care of all of these animals? There's so many, and this place just goes on, and it is just sprawling. Well, it does take a lot to keep an operation like Brite Zoo up and running. There's over 900 animals from every corner of the globe at the zoo. Keeping them happy and healthy is a massive task, but the zookeepers at Brite Zoo are more than up to the challenge. Every day, the zookeepers get up bright and early to address the very specific needs of the animals they care for. They say we have different adventures every day. Things happen with live animals, obviously, which makes it more exciting. The zookeepers answer the call every day, no matter the conditions. It takes plenty of hard labor to take care of the animals, their habitats, and the guests at the zoo. It is a lot of feeding and cleaning. Senior zookeeper Tara Roner said, "It's a lot of hard work, mentally, emotionally, and physically. You're out in all types of weather, no matter what." Barrier is one of the dozen people tasked with keeping the zoo up and running. With dozens of animals under his watch, there's certainly a lot of pressure. But that is a challenge he and the rest of the staff are gladly accept daily. They take that pressure in stride, Barrier said. We work really hard to maintain the grounds and make sure the animals are healthy. Barrier's day starts at 8 a.m. every day. His first stop is what he called the prep room. In the prep room, there are dozens of bins containing pellet food formulated for the specific diet of each animal. Barrier fills the buckets for his section of the zoo and heads out to feed. Brite Zoo is a staple in the Limestone community. Each animal has strict requirements for portion size and the type of food. If that's not followed, it can cause complications with many of the same problems humans get when they don't eat right. It's basically the lifeline for all of the animals here, Barrier said. They all have different formulated pellet diets, and we have macaw food, swine food, monkey biscuits. Romer works with the hoof stock in the grassy fields of the park. She moves a lot of grain to keep up with the needs of her animals. We go through about 3 tons of grain a week just for the hoof stock. Fresh food, including fruit, veggies, and meat, gets chopped up and sorted every morning. While making the rounds, Barrier said some animals are fun to feed, like the spider monkeys that will come up to the side of their cage and take a banana right from your hand. Others are a bit more testy. The Red River hogs, you have to be real careful. You have to make sure that they're shifted into their section. I wouldn't want to chance taking a bite from one of them. Zookeepers have a watchful eye on their animals. They're always looking for signs of illness or injury. A veteran comes out for routine checkups, but if something is wrong, the animal can get the help it needs quickly through a specialist. She comes in, does rounds, checks every animal. If we have any concerns about any animal, she'll go look at that specific animal for us. With the animals fed and healthy, zookeepers want to also make sure they're happy. That's where animal enrichment comes in. The zoo creates activities to put in the habitats to keep animals engaged. Some want to interact with us as much as possible. That takes a lot of research to see what they're good with and what's going to make them happy. It's all in a day's work, but that hard work is paid off with one of the most rewarding jobs out there. It's a ton of work, but it's very fulfilling. Romer said, if that's something you want to look into going into, I would highly recommend it. Yes, running an operation like this would truly be a labor of love. Well, I'm going to let you look at a couple of short videos of some of these animals here, and then we're taking off over to Winged Deer Park, and that's in Johnson City, Tennessee. Brite Zoo was really a wonderful stop. It was really time well spent, and I hadn't been to a zoo in quite a few years. I can't remember the last time. And it was such a pleasure to see all of the different animals and just enjoy them. The fees that you spend to go into the zoo, it all goes to the upkeep of the animals. It's really a wonderful institution. Anyway, we enjoyed our time. It was well spent at Brite Zoo and definitely worth a stop. Okay, our next stop is Winged Deer Park, Festival Plaza area, and that's in Johnson City, Tennessee. And Winged Deer Park is a 200-acre district park located in Johnson City. Amenities include 5 lighted softball fields, Scores Tower and Restroom, 3 lighted soccer fields, Batters Up batting cages, an 18-hole disc golf course, playground area, soccer concession building with restroom, half-mile walking track, and paved fitness trails. which wind through the forested section of the park. The lakefront area features 2 sand volleyball courts, picnic shelter with restroom, public boating access, green spaces, lighted handicap accessible boardwalk, amphitheater, and a festival plaza, multi-use area with restroom. The list goes on. The trails are gorgeous, and you can fish out here too. We got to experience the lake trail and the mountain trail. They're both great. We're walking through this wonderful forest, and it's all uphill. I'm waiting for the downhill part. And they say cardio is good for you. Okie dokie. Look at that grade. Holy crapanola. Well, we had our cardio, and it's not over yet because now we're heading over to East Tennessee State University, and that campus is huge, so the walking continues. And the campus is so big, and it comes in different levels, so they've got slides that they actually slide down to go to the different levels if they want to hurry up and get to their classes, or they have the options to use the stairs. So this university, it's over 100 years old, and it is gigantic. It's super, super cool. Classes hadn't started yet here at ETSU, so we took the opportunity to browse through the campus. So we're able to browse through the library and the halls. We went to the museums and the art galleries, and wow, what a fantastic place. And have a Michelin star baker in here. ETSU was founded in 1911 with a singular purpose to improve the quality of life for people in the region and beyond. ETSU at a glance, there's nearly 14,000 students from 71 countries and 50 states, 173 highly respected academic programs, many nationally ranked. They have 951 military-affiliated students, and 10% ETSU is among the top 10% of colleges for least amount of student debt. 18 Division I athletic teams competing in the Southern Conference, and 240 plus student organizations to help you find your place and your people. We're now wandering through the art galleries and the little museum areas that they have. The exhibits are forever changing, is what the docent had told us. A lot of the museum areas here and the artists are from the Appalachians. For example, here we're seeing seamstresses all from the Appalachian Mountains. There's other exhibits. There's a ballet exhibit here, and again the dancers are from the Appalachians. Everything is geared here from the peoples of the Appalachian Mountains. It's really, really cool. ETSU is set in an outdoor lover's paradise. ETSU's main campus is located in beautiful and vibrant Johnson City, Tennessee, and it's a short drive to numerous thriving mountain towns, including Bristol, Kingsport, and historic Jonesboro, as well as Asheville in bordering North Carolina. And with gorgeous lakes, rivers, and hiking and biking trails nearby, including more than 100 miles of Appalachian Trail, there is always something new to explore. This is all the different ballet in the Appalachians. Now we're browsing through the library and the study rooms. Well, I believe I mentioned Asheville, North Carolina, and that's about an hour and 35 minutes from Johnson City, Tennessee. Let's head on over there. Here in the town of Asheville, North Carolina, they have so many wonderful restaurants and things to do. One place that we're going to stop at is called the Curate Tapas. This place is fantastic, and it's all tapas from Spain. The food is wonderful, and the care and preparation is just absolutely amazing. Anyway, this is definitely a place to stop if you happen to be in Asheville, North Carolina. Hey, and I want to thank you guys for such a fantastic time in Tennessee, North Carolina, and Virginia. Looking forward to doing it again. It's always the best. Happy road trekking.